be talking about author's purpose. And we're going to be uncovering the author's intent. So I want all of you together. Let's do a choral read, and let's read the learning objective. Everyone together?
I can determine an author's purpose for writing a text.
Okay, so today we're going to be looking at how we analyze works written on the same topic and compare how the authors achieve similar or different purposes. Okay, student A, partner A, I want you to turn and talk to your partner about what do you think this means when it says I can determine an author's purpose for writing a text. Partner A, turn to your partner and tell them what do you think that means.
I think it's talking about like critique. So like for example, like critique is at the end of the day you have to understand what this is. And as a person, as a student, you have to be able to determine the author's purpose for writing that text. He's trying to say similar critiques. Coach Mac just takes on those every single day.
Okay, now partner B, if you agree, I want you to give me a thumbs up. If not, I want you to give them another explanation of what you think it means.
I feel like
What about stupid?
it might be also like why the author wrote the text, like what message you're trying to get across by writing this text. It can be either informational, storytelling, and text. The author just wants to get like their point across. Like it could be a message, a lesson, or just statistics. But it's basically just what they want to do by writing this.
Makes sense.
Excellent, thank you so much for sharing. Yes. Did you want to add something else? Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Okay, so in order to determine the author's purpose, we need to think like an author. We need to ask ourselves, what is the reason that the author is writing this? What is their intent? The author's message is the underlying idea explored or expressed by the author in a piece of writing. So when we're looking at the author's point of view, at the author's purpose, we need to think what is their point of view. The author's personal attitude, opinion, or stance on the topic can bias what their writing is. It's how they see things. It's influenced by their beliefs, their expectations, their experiences, and their values. So we need to look for words that show opinion. For example, should, must, clearly, unfortunately, surprisingly. The way that they select the facts that they choose to use, what they include or what they leave out, the tone. Are they passionate about what they're writing? Is it a critical piece? Are they neutral? Are they sympathetic about what they're saying? Once you think you've discovered what the author's purpose is, then you have to use textual evidence to support it. So here's an example. Bananas make our bodies healthier and happier. We can see by this that the author's personal attitude on bananas is that they're good for us. I want you to talk with your table now and now discuss what it is that you know about author's purpose. After seeing this.
Wait, do we see?
Yes, you can start.
Okay.
What about you?
So what I know about author's purpose is they do make it. Most of the time they do make it obvious on like what they're trying to achieve, and they support like okay, in the informational text they support their efforts, and in like other texts they like include like a lot of details about like the main message. I feel like an example of this would be like, oh, phones shouldn't be banned. They'll include like reasons on why phones shouldn't be banned to get their point across. And sometimes they might be a bit biased, but most of the time they try to include like text of like evidence, reasons. But yeah.
What about you, Lindsay?
I like how Jesus brought up a specific example of when they talk about should phones be banned. And some biases may be very passionate about that. If you're a student, you may not want your phone to be banned at school, right? So you might be very opinionated about that topic. If you're a teacher, maybe you have a different bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna use data and facts that support your opinion, right? Okay, so when we're looking at author's purpose, the author's purpose is the main reason that the author wrote the text. What do they want to achieve? Do they want to inform, teach you facts, or explain something? Do they want to persuade? Do they want to entertain, tell a story for enjoyment? Do they want to analyze, examine something closely and break it down? And sometimes the author has more than one purpose, but it's usually a primary purpose. Here are some examples of those. I want you to open up your journals and do a quick write for about 1 minute about the different types of author's purposes along with an example. So we're going to have about 1 minute quick write, writing down different author's purposes and an example. And some are listed on the board. Inform, to persuade, to entertain. Very good. You guys are giving some great examples. Okay, now let's identify the author's purpose. When we're identifying it, we're looking for the author's craft. So the author's craft is a language and technique that the author uses to make his or her writing interesting, to communicate ideas to the reader. Sometimes there may be some misconceptions about what the author's purpose is. So the purpose is why they wrote the piece that they wrote, like the examples you gave, to persuade somebody. And perspective is how they feel about it. So an author's purpose isn't just a guess, it's revealed through their writing choices. The main goal is reflected in the way an author writes about a topic. So to determine an author's purpose, ask yourself these questions. What kind of voice are they using? What kind of language is used? Is it formal, casual, scientific, emotional? What is the tone? How are they feeling? What is the mood that they're trying to portray? So when we're trying to see the author's purpose, we will see that the author will structure the text intentionally to accomplish this purpose. I want you to watch this video and think about what the author is trying to get you to feel.
She's feeling uncared. CRV, it's a 2,000.
What's this?
That's the Odyssey.
What's this?
That's the CRV.
What's this?
That's the award for best resale value in its class.
What's this?
Folks with the best-selling crossover in America.
What's this?
That's a telephone.
What's this?
Water coolers. What's something behind it?
What's that?
Volume.
What's
That's
this?
the steering wheel.
What's this?
That's the restroom.
What's this?
This is goodbye.
Dual qualified buyers can get an Odyssey for 0.9% financing and no first month payment during
Okay.
sales. Real deal.
Partner B.
At your
I want you to think about what the author was trying to get you to feel. Did the salesperson ever say that this kid was getting on his nerves? No. So, partner B, I want you to turn and talk to partner A. How could you tell that the salesperson was annoyed with the little kid? Turn and talk.
I feel like you can tell that that person was because of his like short answers and like and he looked like disinterested. Like his words sounded disinterested, and since he gave short answers, that could represent like a feeling of like irritation.
Yeah, that's what my mom does when I get on her really annoyed that like it's a kid.
He just you give short responses and you know,
Also at the end
I love when I heard somebody over here say, that's how my mom talks when she's upset. Like she gives very short answers and questions and responses. So I love that you're connecting it to yourself. So now we're gonna look at conflicting viewpoints and why an author considers these. So conflicting viewpoints usually disagree with the author's claim. They present a different side of an issue, and they offer evidence that seems to contradict the author's evidence. They represent the other side of the argument. So a while ago when I was telling you, a teacher's side of the argument against banning phones will be different than a student's, right? And we should look for terms such as, some may argue that, it's often believed that, while it is true that, critics suggest, however others might point out. I want you to look at this right here, and it's a vase. So this little guy over here is saying, this is a vase. This little guy over here is saying, it's two faces. Partner A, I want you to turn and talk about why do you think that looking at somebody else's perspective could be beneficial? Why could it be beneficial to see somebody else's perspective? Partner A, you may begin.
It's beneficial to be like, oh, I can see how you can see a vase, but you can also see how I can see faces. Because it can help you with like future experiences, like if you are trying to do teamwork on projects and the workforce, then it is beneficial to see both your point of view and someone else's point of view, or anyone else's point of view. It all just depends on where you were looking, because if you were looking at the vase, you would see the vase with two faces, you couldn't see the vase, you could only see the faces.
Okay, very good. So after acknowledging that there is a conflicting viewpoint, the author will explain why their original viewpoint is valid or stronger. And common responses could include a rebuttal, a concession, or a limitation, showing that, so a rebuttal would be a direct proving of why it's wrong. A concession would be that agreeing with just a small part of the conflicting view. And then a limitation would be showing that the conflicting view only applies in certain situations. So it's important to recognize that by understanding another's viewpoint, this does not necessarily mean that the conflict is resolved. So, step-by-step analysis. The first thing we need to do is identify the topic. What is this text generally about? 2, determine the author's purpose. Is the author informing, persuading, entertaining, or analyzing? 3, find the author's point of view. What is their opinion about the topic? 4, look for conflicting views. Does the author mention or present the other side? And number 5, analyze the response. How does the author deal with conflicting view? Do they refute it? Do they concede it? Or do they limit it? How does this strengthen their own argument? So ask questions like, what is the author's main point of view in this passage? What is the author's primary purpose? And how does the author acknowledge conflicting viewpoint? So for the next 20 minutes, we're going to be reading a text and we're going to be analyzing the author's purpose using these strategies and see if we can determine what that author's purpose was for writing that text. Okay?
Okay.